Yo, what's up? This is Fling with the dfsarmy, and this is your Battle Royale first look draft for week 3. So, Battle Royale, we are going to hop into a draft here in a second. If you've never played the Battle Royale before, it pays $50K to first, $7, 55,000 entries. You can do, up to 150 drafts. Really fun contest, DFS drafts on Underdog. So much fun. So, we're going to hop into those in a second, but wanted to start with the game tiles, kind of get an idea of, the games we might want to target, some games that potentially could shoot out, and, we want to target in our drafts, both sides potentially. Maybe look at some spots where we just want to target teams in the draft. For example, we look at Baltimore last week. If you targeted the Baltimore attack, the passing attack, like you could have done really well, especially if you went Lamar Jackson and got DeAndre Hopkins in the last round. Obviously, if you got Henry, you did pretty bad. But if you got Lamar, you probably did pretty good. At least gotten the money. You really needed Jared Goff, or you needed Russell Wilson. But that said, we kind of want to be able to see some game environments we want to target. And the game tiles, courtesy of dfsarmy's Domination Station, certainly help us with that. So one of the things that really stands out to me right away, we have Chicago at home against Dallas. This is a game environment that I definitely think we want to target. When we look at, these two teams, really, we have Dallas that has given up. They gave up 37 points last week to the Giants. And they're projected to just be kind of a bottom half of the league, bottom third of the league defense, especially after trading Micah Parsons. And they got a lot of offensive firepower with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Javonte Williams is playing really well. Obviously, Dak, under center, we've seen it from him in the past before. We saw it in 2023, had a great year. And, we expect them to be in a lot of shootouts again this year. So the Dallas side, I like. Chicago, right now, they have given up the most points in the league by a wide margin, 79 points through 2 games. So this game, I get it. I think it has shootout potential. Vegas thinks that 25.5 implied team total. Dallas is a favorite. So this is a game that I am wanting to target. Now, a couple of potential other game environments that fit the bill. We have the Chargers at home, 46 points, going against Denver. It's a divisional game. It's hard to predict what's going to happen. I know we had a pretty high-scoring affair the last 2 times these teams met last year. Denver, they had a bad week last week on the road against Indianapolis, but I don't really think that we're going to see a Denver defense that gives up a lot of points every week. The reason why Indianapolis was kind of a bad matchup for them is because Denver doesn't cover tight ends and they don't cover elite running backs very well. They never have. And coming out of the backfield, and that's what really burned them. I don't think we have that with the Chargers. So this game could go a lot of different ways. Vegas certainly seems to think it's going to be one of the higher scoring games. So I could certainly see stacking this one. Justin Herbert, I like Ladd McConkey in this spot, actually. And, there's bringbacks on the other side. There's, Cortland Sutton. There's Troy Franklin, who's kind of emerging. So kind of an under-the-radar game. A couple spots, other spots that might really stand out. I like Atlanta going on the road against Carolina, specifically Bijan. Carolina really has a poor run defense. Josiah will tell you that. So I like this spot for Atlanta. Maybe if you don't get Bijan, maybe you can think about doing Penix stacks. How does Bijan fail? Because Bijan's in a smash spot. He's going first overall when we look at ADP here in a second. But how does he fail? Well, all the tutties go through the passing game. Drake London, Mooney, Kyle Pitts. So I like Penix stacks here. I expect Carolina to be one of those teams that we want to target each and every week. And, so far they've been one of the more poor defenses in the league. You can throw on them, you can run on them, but specifically this is a good spot to target for the run game. Now, Tampa going against the Jets, this is a big spread. This is typically, what we want to target, team in the 25 point implied team total at home as favorites. So that offense, Baker Mayfield stacks are in place, specifically with Ibuka and Mike Evans, but also this could be a good spot for Bucky Irving. When you see like a spread like this, 7-point spread, you typically want to target that type of spot for the running back. Now, last one for me, Philly going against the Rams. Divisional rematch of the divisional round last year. The snow game, but this game, I think this can obviously go a lot of different ways because Philly has a really good defense and, the Rams have a good pass rush. But oftentimes in these games that could potentially hit the over, could potentially shoot out. It's because you have teams with, a lot of studs on offense. So Stafford's a stud, and he's got 2 studs with Puka and Devontae Adams. If he comes out hot, they come out firing. They get a good lead. Now we're putting the pressure on Jalen Hurts to sling it all over the field. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, maybe Goddard, Saquon coming out of the backfield. So this is a game, one of these middling games, 44, 45. They're definitely ones that we do not want to ignore. So this could be a game that we also want to get pieces from as well. So, yeah, that's kind of it for the game tiles. What I want to see real quick, we're going to go to Underdog. Let's get a look at ADP. Now, I typically want to start with running back and wide receiver first because these are the most important positions in these Battle Royale drafts. The first couple rounds, typically – you're going to want to target a running back or wide receiver first in these drafts. That's what most of the Battle Royale winners have done, about 95%. This is going to be the meat of your team. So we obviously just talked about Bijan in his smash spot. He's going first overall. Then it's Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, Josh Jacobs, Genty, Javonte, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, Chuba, and Alvin Kamara. And it's pretty interesting because when we go and we look at their projections at DFS Army, we got Bijan first, then McCaffrey, Saquon, Taylor, and then Kamara, Chase Brown. Now, these are the projections that we get from our provider as of Tuesday. Wednesday, our boy Upper Slad goes in there, and he does all of DFS Army's projections. And then, of course, we will get the prop projections, which we don't have now. But that said, I find it interesting that Alvin Kamara is, showing up pretty well in the projections, but the field doesn't want anything to do with him. He's way down here. So that could be a potential leverage spot. We'll have to monitor our projections and see where he shows up. But, a guy that you can get much later than normal. I love the Bijan play. I get this, the Christian McCaffrey, Saquon. Saquon could be the top guy on any slate. We just talked about that game. I love Jonathan Taylor going against Tennessee. They can be attacked, so he could potentially be a target. Chase Brown, this is a good spot going against Minnesota. To start the year, Minnesota has had the second worst run D in the league so far. So everyone's pissed off at Chase Brown. They've been burnt by him the past 2 weeks. His ADP is way lower now. From what we're seeing, 27th. That's the 4th round. He was going in the 2nd round. So that's a potential spot where the field's done with him. They're pissed off. We could potentially get him at great value. Yeah. And then, we'll kind of talk through this a little bit more as we hop into a draft here. But CeeDee Lamb, Chase, Jefferson, I find it interesting. We got a team, 2 players here with backup quarterbacks and a game total that's quite low. It's on the lower side, and the field is eating these guys up. See, that would be an avoid for me. I'd rather go CeeDee Lamb. I'd rather go Puka Nacua, JSN, just kind of, or Dunze, London, and just kind of avoid those wide receivers and go running back there in that spot. Now, Chase, he definitely been targeted a lot by Browning, but Chase has had, some of his is definitely going to decline when Joe Burrow hasn't been in the lineup. And for good reason. Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So that's no surprise. But we're going to hop into a battle royale. Let me just make sure this is popping up front and center. Had some formatting issues earlier, so actually recording this a second time. But like I said, $50K to first, $7 entry fee. You can do 150 of these, take about 5 minutes. So a really fun contest. If you've never played before, we're going to hop in. It actually feels pretty quick. So looks like we just got in. Let's see where we're picking. All right. So we are picking 5th. We got the fantasy guru in here. No other names that I recognize as of right now, but this will be pretty fun. We can see the full screen here, so we are good on that. Let's see how long. Draft starts in 30 seconds. Okay, so, we could kind of go back to our projections here, see how we project these guys, at least with our baseline projections. We do have Chase as the top guy. I would personally take a stand against that with a backup quarterback. That's just me. I like Puka. I like Lamb. I would have Lamb as the top guy. And I think once Upper Slide does the projections, we probably will. It'll be Lamb and Puka over Chase, over Jefferson. So I will be fading Chase and Jefferson this week. It's just kind of how I see the slate playing out. If I lose to Jamar Chase, line up with a backup quarterback, so be it. I'm going to trust the projections. I'm going to think that's where the field is getting it wrong, at least how I'm going to play it. And I'm going to attack some of these other spots, like Dallas and Chicago. So, oh crap, I am on the clock. So it went Lamb, Jefferson. All right, let's take Puka. Here I am just talking away, and Puka, luckily I got Puka, but yeah, it went. That's exactly how it went, and it's going to come back to me. So who do I want to take here? Do I want to jump down the board a little bit? I think I do. I think I want to try to get a piece of this Dallas game. I'll get a Dunze. Maybe I could stack Caleb with a Dunze. Maybe I can get Javonte. Or maybe I could just do a little ping pong stack. This is a game I definitely want a piece of. So I got my 2 wide receivers. I definitely will not be able to take Pickens. So I think Javonte would be the play. Maybe with Caleb, we'll see how this goes. And we really want to grab a running back here. So I'm hoping Javonte makes it back to us. We get a little ping pong stack. We can get another running back along the way. I could probably easily stack up Puka. Okay, so Javonte did make it back. I think in this spot, yeah, I would prefer Javonte. So we solidified that stack. It should come right back around to me. And then I'll have the choice between Jordan Mason or Chase Brown. Let's see who looks better from a projection standpoint. I don't think it's probably going to factor in Jordan Mason's projection, but you know what? I'm just going to go back to Chase Brown because I think this is a good matchup for him. The field is off of him, so I will take him as my 4th running back there. And you know what? If Jamar Chase fails, there's a good chance it's because Chase Brown had a good game in a plus matchup here. So we could get Caleb to stack up with the Dunze. Do we go Ferguson and full on game stack it? Caleb plus a Dunze plus a Javante and Jake Ferguson bring back. That would probably crush any of the Lamb lineups. The tutties go to the running back and the tight end. That's basically the story that this draft would be telling, if that is, what you need to have to bank this thing. So I could go Caleb here to stack with the Dunze. So I got Caleb to a Dunze with the Javante Williams bring back. Now, do I want to get the tight end in that game? And honestly, I would love for that tight end to be Colson Loveland, but we have just seen nothing from Colson Loveland target-wise to really justify that he's the guy you need. But I think I am going to lean into this stack here. Basically, it's going to be Caleb plus Adunze with Javante and Jake Ferguson bring back. So I'm hoping that the tutties go through Javante and Jake Ferguson. This is the game that I need to target. I like Puka. He's always a stud that you can rely on with the volume that he gets and just with the playmaking ability, just one of the best in the league, hands down. Chase Brown in a good matchup. I think it's a good first look draft, of course, in the Battle Royale. Let's kind of see how everyone else did. As this finish is up, this guy, Tiller AD, I don't know, went Jalen Hurts, McConkey, Adams. Let's see who he picks for. Let's see if he picks, I'm guessing, another running back, or maybe he's going to go wide receiver, or maybe he's just auto drafting. I don't know. But he got McConkey, who actually like in that spot, and he's just unstacked. Jalen Hurts with, I guess, kind of a bring back of Devontae Adams. So 3 wide receivers, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Bowers. Then we got Jaden Daniels here. Questionable to play. I had a draft earlier where I actually took him. I think, maybe this ends up paying off. You get Jaden Daniels at 26. I got him at 36, or 35, even better. But he's questionable to play. So if he doesn't play, this could really burn you. It's kind of a first or last mentality, but I like taking that chance. And so we got Bijan Robinson here, and doesn't really look like there's any stacking going on here. Just Justin Jefferson, JSN, Bijan, Josh Jacobs. So, just a bunch of one-offs. The fantasy guru, he stacked Dak with CeeDee Lamb, got Nico Collins, Trey McBride, Jordan Mason, and ETN. So just a Dak single. Jeffer, Nate, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen. No bringbacks on the other side. Saquon Barkley, Genty, Chase, and Tyler Warren. And then obviously my build. And then last, Baker Mayfield. We were just talking about that as one of the intros. Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, Egbuka. I like that. Was able to get London. I like what Etope did there in that build. Some, plays that I'm on, and I think overall that's a good stack there for the Bucks going against the Jets with their 25-point implied team total. So a little bit of an onslaught stack. Overall, pretty good stuff. That's going to do it for this first look draft, guys. If you like this kind of content, let me know. Hit that like button. Let me know who you are targeting in your underdog drafts this week, the week 3 slate. Let me know if there's definitely like a game that I missed that you think is going to be the game that you need. And of course, if you would like access to all the DFS Army tools, the Domination Station, which you can use the Mass Multi-Enter, DraftKings, FanDuel, you name it, the projection system that, I certainly use for making these decisions, the Underdog drafts, the Battle Royale cheat sheet that I drop every week for our subscribers, and then all the other coaches who have cheat sheets for DraftKings, FanDuel, and whatnot, whether you are playing NFL, MLB, NBA is coming up soon, NHL, MMA. We have it all. Use my code FantasyFling for 10% off a VIP subscription. So that's going to wrap this one up, guys. Best of luck this week. We will see you next week.